the Honorable Dean of Economic and Business Faculty, Professor Wiwik Robiatul Adawiyah, Ph.D., the Honorable Head of Foreign Language Laboratory, Dr. Donna Primasari, M.Sc., the Honorable Speaker, Mrs. Kiky Sri Rejeki, M.Sc., and all the beloved participants. Thank you so much for spending some time and joining us for today's webinar. My name is Karina Odia Julia Levy, behalf of Foreign Language Laboratory Representative of Economic and Business Faculty, Jenderal Sudirman University. And I'm the host and the moderator for today's activity. Today, we are presenting Gain More Opportunity with English Competency webinar by Mrs. Kiky Sri Rejeki, M.Sc. But first, we'll be listening to our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. The co-host, please play the song. Thank you so much. Before we jump to the presentation, please welcome our Dean of Economic and Business Faculty, Professor Wiwik Robiatul Adawiyah, PhD, to give a welcome speech as well as to officially open our activities today. To Professor Wiwik Robiatul Adawiyah, PhD, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So sorry, a minute, my battery is drained. Dicas ke sana. Okay. All right. First of all, I would like to give my respect to the speaker, Mbak Kiky, for Mrs. Kiky Sri Rejeki for being here, and also the head of language laboratory, and also the committee, especially to our MC or moderator. I'm sorry, didn't realize about that because kept on talking just now, so I just realized that the battery is drained. Huh? Okay, thank you. Well, the title of the what do we call this, webinar or workshop?
It's a webinar, Prof.
It's a webinar, all right. It's about gaining more opportunity with English competencies, yeah. This is a very good topic, yeah, a very good topic and very interesting. And I hope that this webinar will provide new insight to our students on the importance of learning English. Yeah, our speaker today is someone that is very special too. Yeah, from one of our lecturer who has successfully gained plenty of opportunities because of her English competencies. Yeah, so I do also hope that our student who attend this session, our lecturer or student who attend this session can get benefit from this activity. Yeah. As we know that because of globalization, everyone, yeah, everyone is facing competition worldwide. Yeah, we are not just competing with our neighbor, but we are also competing with people from other country. They have started establishing companies in Indonesia. Yeah, not just big companies, but we see that like small businesses also, they have outlet, yeah, like KFC, for example, and many other kind of businesses is already penetrating our country. So because of globalization, we have to prepare ourselves, yeah, to compete with everyone in this world, yeah, even though it's in our own region. So one way to grab the opportunities by improve our English ability. So English proficiency is also another factor that would, of course, reduce the unemployment in Indonesia, yeah, in this globalization era. So if because even Indonesian-based company now would ask, yeah, our TOEFL certificate, for example, and other evidence of our English ability. So please get most benefit, yeah, from this webinar, and hopefully can improve our ability or your ability in the future. So that's all, I think, from me. Thank you very much. Wish you good luck. Hopefully the webinar will run smoothly until the end. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Professor Wiwik Robiatul Adawiyah, PhD, for officially open our activities today. Now it's time we are in a photo session together. Please make sure to turn on your camera and the co-host will help with the screenshot. How many slides we have, dear co-host? How many slides we have? Okay, let me start first slide. Let me count first. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide. 1, 2, 3. Is there any other slide? Okay, let me count first. 1, 2, 3. Okay, is there any other slide? Okay, 1, 2, 3. I think that's all. Okay, thank you everyone for opening your camera for our photo sessions together. Just a little reminder before we get started, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. I'll bring them up during the discussion sessions, and we will also have time for questions at the end. If you want to asking live, you can raise your hand and open your microphone at the end of the presentation. Okay, now let me introduce our speaker for today's webinar. Our presenter today is Mrs. Kiky Sri Rejeki, M.Sc. Please, the host open the CV. Okay, her educational background is in 2005 until 2009, bachelor degree in accounting at Universitas Jenderal Sudirman with GPA 3.69. In 2010 until 2011, in master degree in accounting at Universitas Gadjah Mada, AACSB accredited with GPA 3.9. And this is some of her scholarship, awards, and fellowships. In 2019, Indonesia Endowment Fund for Education awardee, University of Western Australia. 2019, first winner of dosen berprestasi, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. 2017, student in Netherlands, student awardee postgraduate course at Erasmus University Rotterdam, the Netherlands. 2017, Konrad Adenauer Stiftung awardee, one of the political foundations of the Federal Republic of Germany. 2016, Best Paper Award at National Seminar Sustainability Competitive Advantage. In 2011, the Best Graduate Master of Science in Accounting from Universitas Gadjah Mada. In 2009, Student Exchange Program Malaysia-Indonesia from the Ministry of Education and Culture Indonesia. 2008, winner of Most Inspiring Student Competition Faculty of Economics and Business University Jenderal Sudirman. 2004, Student Exchange Program Indonesia-Australia by Department of Education, Queensland, Australia. Here's some of her professional position held. 2019 until 2020, Deputy Director of Staff and Student Mobility at International Relations Office, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. 2018 until 2019, Head of Foreign Language Laboratory, Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. 2017 until 2019, Coordinator of Public Relations and Publication Department in Indonesian Economists Association, or ISEI, Purwokerto Branch. 2016 until 2019, Editor at Sudirman Accounting Review. 2016 until 2019, Deputy Chairman at Pusat Pengelolaan Jurnal or Journal Management Center, Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. This is some of her working experience. She's a junior auditor at RSM AAJ Associates 2009 until 2010. Laboratory instructor at Economics and Business Diploma, Vocational College, Universitas Gadjah Mada, Yogyakarta, at 2011 until 2012. Lecturer at Department of Accounting in Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Yogyakarta, at 2012 until 2014. And this is some of her social organizational experience. In January 2021 until now, she is a secretary at the Association of Indonesian Postgraduate Students and Scholars in Australia, or APSA. In 2017 until 2020, volunteer at Sahabat Panti. In 2017 until 2018, Deputy Treasurer at Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, IAI Banyumas. 2017 until 2019 as a coordinator of Public Relations and Publication Department at Ikatan Sarjana Ekonomi Indonesia or ISEI Banyumas. 2007 until 2009, President of English Debating Society, Faculty of Economics at Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. And here are some of her hobbies. She have a podcast called Cerita Kami, and also she likes to gardening. That's all of her CV. Okay, now without further ado, please turn off your microphone and we will turn the time over to our speakers. Dear speakers, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for a very humble introductions. I feel very humble with the, I don't think that you will read like a lot of that CV because I thought that you just, kind of, highlight only some part of it. But thank you very much for a very nice introduction. So as being introduced before, I'd like to also introduce just my name for all the participants. So my name is Kiky. I'm actually still a lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Business in Department of Accounting, but currently I'm studying my doctoral degree at the University of Western Australia, thanks to the LPDP awards that I got a chance to pursue my dreams to have a doctoral degree, which actually quite challenging this day. But yeah, so that is kind of my introduction. My name is Kiky. I hope that during this webinar, we're going to have a lot of fruitful discussions. And especially because I don't think that I'm capable in like, giving you some, because I'm not an English major, so I don't have like probably like tips and tricks or like a rightful strategy to let you know how to learn English quickly or any other of foreign languages. So I'm basically going to just share my experience on how I do it, on how I learn English, and probably hope that sharing of experience will eventually give a benefit for all of us. So I'm not going to give you like a lot of presentations. I hope that we're going to have more of a discussions rather than me presenting whatever the material or whatever. So yeah, hopefully that all of you which have a curiosity or any questions that I'm probably relevant to answer that, feel free to drop the questions throughout the this webinar sessions. So anyway, I was asked by Ms. Donna to eventually present and probably share some of the tips that I do in terms of learning English, and also probably giving you some highlight on the importance of having the English proficiency test and why it is important. And why then students have to rely a lot on that recently. So I'm going to just share I'm going to share my screen, but eventually the host disabled me to screen the sharing. So probably the host can, the host can just share my
the host
screen.
is Mrs. Monica.
Okay,
sorry.
Monique, please do your
you
job.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Monique is everywhere, yeah?
Monique is everywhere, definitely, ma'am. So she's like very busy person during this pandemic. Always like everywhere. Right, so this is the screen that I'm going to share with you. Have you, oh, sorry, not this one. Sorry. Yeah. So that's, this is the things that I already prepared for today's presentations. It's probably something that you already know before. So it's part of it, part of it is basically just like, general information on the English proficiency test. But either way, let's just dive in. So the first things is I want to highlight why English is particularly important and why English proficiency test is important. I think Bu Wiwik has just highlight some of the importance of learning English with you in regards to the effects or in regards to the impact of globalization. Definitely English is important in every part of our lives. And I think right now with the, with the massive influence of social media, with the massive importance, the massive influence of technology and such, we actually had already understand, right? I mean, that is something as a general knowledge. So English is definitely important, and I don't think to have to give you the reasons why it is important. But in particular, in this slide, I would like to say why English is actually important as a language, as a part of way we doing communications with people around the world. But in academic world, sometimes that is not enough. Like sometimes, you can speak English is not enough because it has to be proven. Like the ability that you have is to be proven. And the way to prove your ability in English is that by doing the English proficiency test. So why English proficiency test is important? Definitely if we see from the perspective of the foreign people to see Indonesian students, they will see you as an international student. So international students applying to programs which will be taught in English definitely must provide proof of their English proficiency as part of their applications. Either you would like to apply for, say, double degree or for student exchange program or for whatever program probably you would like to continue your study abroad, then English proficiency test is important as a proof of your English capability. And the reasons being is because we do not speak English on our daily basis. So Bahasa Inggris is not our mother tongue, and so that's why the foreigner, the Westerner, or whatever, the foreign university the capitalist university, whatever you want to call it, they want you to prove your ability in English. So that's why the English proficiency test is important in that sense. And the second one is that, of course, it is to ensure that the international students have the necessary English skill to understand academic writing, which definitely very important in academic world. And of course, there are also certain part of your academic study that you need to produce scholarly writing, whether in terms of essay, whether in terms of thesis, the final products of, written products of your academic study, and definitely to communicate effectively with your lecturer, with your supervisors, with your friends if you're actually studying abroad. So that's why it is also very important. And as undergrad students, that you're probably looking for the opportunities, as I said before, for double degree, for student exchange, for whatever, student ambassador. The EPT is always an essential element, is always an essential part for the applications. And then you probably have heard a lot about TOEFL, as that's the most general English proficiency test that we have in Indonesia. But actually there are still like a lot of English proficiency tests. But I'm going to just discuss the three most widely accepted English proficiency tests, which is the TOEFL, Ielts, and the CAA. The CAA is particularly probably not that very popular in Indonesia, but if you would like to continue your study in UK, for example, that CAA is definitely one of the alternatives of the English proficiency test that you would like to consider. So yeah, beside TOEFL, you will have Ielts and CAA, and probably some other like English proficiency tests, but they're not really popular. So I'm going to just cover these three most widely accepted English proficiency tests. So TOEFL, basically, yeah, everyone is know what is actually TOEFL. You probably have, as a student, you probably have encountered this. You probably have a good score. You probably don't have a pretty good score, but that's the most or the best known and most commonly used English proficiency test around the world. So before IELTS rise as an alternative for the English proficiency test, many people use TOEFL, and even until right now, right? TOEFL is basically one of the two tests beside, I think I would call it GRE. So it's a grade, GRE, that are usually accepted by most of the American university. So if you would like to have an exchange students in American university, they probably will still consider that TOEFL. Well, eventually, if you would like even go to the Australia, for example, or any other Western countries that require English proficiency tests, TOEFL is definitely still a relevant test that they want you to consider to take, right? And this TOEFL was designed specifically to test your knowledge in English and to be used in college or university setting. So in terms of academic, TOEFL is definitely one must to go and one must to consider, right? Because it's the most widely used for university or college applications. But in terms of format, I think now the paper-based TOEFL has no longer been used for whatever reason, maybe because now they don't think it's relevant anymore. And it is even more exacerbated by the pandemic. So now that the paper delivered test is no longer being used, so they changed that into the internet-based test, which is the IBT, which they're actually still over the new paper delivered test, but that's kind of a bit different with the old paper-based test, which is, to my knowledge, is no longer administered. For the IBT, they use internet-based, so it is definitely entirely based on computer and using the internet. And there is also a speaking portion test. So there's a speaking test portion in the IBT, which, to my knowledge, is also not found in the previous type of TOEFL test. So then, yeah, it's kind of the format itself is a little bit different. I never tried the IBT because once I know that there is an alternative for the EPT, which is IELTS, I just try to go with IELTS. But some of my friends who undergone their TOEFL IBT, they say that it's probably better to just try IELTS rather than TOEFL IBT, because the IBT TOEFL is a bit harder in some sense, because it requires you to have a very good internet connections. And we know that in Indonesia, probably the internet connection is not that really good, you know, for whatever reasons, like for the signal is not really strong and it's not really stable, or for whatever. So many people actually suggest, instead of taking the IBT, you probably just be considered to take the TOEFL test, the IELTS test. So as I said, these informations here are something that definitely you can search on Google, and probably search on EPT as the what you call it, as the official website for TOEFL. So they definitely have a new scoring system for the IBT. Like for example, here you will find that now the TOEFL score is no longer 600 or 500. But the maximum is 120, as you can see here. But for those who still take the paper-based TOEFL, they're definitely still like 700 or something. No, 600 to 677 as the maximum score for the paper-based TOEFL. And they can actually do some like conversion to see, so they have this like scheme to see or to convert your score. So what actually makes different with the IBT with the previous TOEFL test is that in the IBT, as I said before, there is a speaking and writing section, which is definitely different with the paper-based TOEFL, which definitely you don't have to write. Okay, so if I'm not, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the old paper-based TOEFL, we just have to read and listen. So reading and listening comprehension is the most emphasized factor. But nowadays they also add speaking and also writing. So in terms of format, it doesn't necessarily different with those IELTS that I'm going to just explain in a minute. Right, so here's the things that I mentioned earlier. The IELTS, or International English Language Testing System, which is now widely recognized by many university, American university or non-American university. And the things about IELTS is that it also recognized by many employers around the world. So take an example, if you do not want to go for college or for university to go abroad, but you're definitely targeting to work in a foreign country that use English, then you would consider IELTS, because in IELTS there is an academic and non-academic section. So if you would like to go to university, you will definitely go with the IELTS academic. But if you would like to work and apply in a, say, multinational company that based in, say, New York, or like, you know, any parts of the country, you will definitely go with the IELTS non-academic, right? So yeah, IELTS is actually now, if I would say, the most widely recognized English proficiency test. And it has a relevant time of use for 2 years, which basically quite okay, even though that we have to pay not a cheap price for taking this IELTS test, right? For the IELTS test itself, the format is actually quite comprehensive. So it is, the section itself is comprises into 4 parts: the listening, the reading, writing, and speaking. So it all covers all the required skills, English skills, right? In the listening section, it's pretty much the same with the TOEFL. With the reading section, it's also kind of the same. But for the writing, it definitely have a more emphasis, because in my own experience, I'm the one who are very struggling in, you know, excelling my writing score, because my writing score, when I first took my IELTS test, was not really good. So it just take like 6.5, which is not enough for a PhD, because usually PhD require you to have at least 7 in terms of score in writing. So I took a couple of times for the IELTS test just to improve my writing score. Well, for the rest of the sections, like speaking, listening, and reading, that was pretty just okay. I mean, you know, if you practice and you do a lot of exercise, then that's okay. But in terms of writing, because this is like impromptu writing, right? So they give you this idea. So they give you like this like very general topics, and then you just build up that topic into some form of writing. And there is a minimum words that you have to write. So if you are less than the required amounts of words, then your score will be definitely lower than what you expect. So in terms of writing, I think it's not only the English skill that is needed, but also how deep or how various your informations are. I mean, the more you read, definitely you will have more sense into what you're going to write. I mean, just like a simple illustrations, even if we have to write in Indonesian, if we don't have an idea on what to write, we definitely still have that difficulties, right? It same goes with English. Like if you don't know what to write, if you don't have an idea, if you don't have an argument, or if you don't have reasoning to write the idea or to elaborate the idea, then you will get stuck as well. So in terms of Ielts test, I think not only your English skill, which is important and necessary, but also the wide varieties of informations and knowledge that you have is definitely very important as well, right? And for the scoring in the Ielts, the maximum is 9. So as here, so if you have a 9 score in Ielts, we're definitely going to say that you're an expert user. Unfortunately, I'm between 7 and 8. So my latest score of IELTS is 7.5, which then qualified me as, somewhere in between good and very good user. So I'm not even an expert user in terms of English, because I still have some grammar incorrectness, or, there are some vocabulary that not really that sophisticated that I use. So I'm between, so my score is between 7 and 8, which is 7.5. But that's actually quite enough, because if you're applying for a PhD, at least you only have the minimum requirement is 7. So as long as you have 7, then it's okay. For some other universities that I know, beside Australia and America, most of Europe, I think they also accept 6.5 in score for the PhD. While for the master, if you're considering to take a master degree in a foreign country, then the score will definitely lower than those required for PhD. From what I know, in Australia, it definitely required to do at least 6 in terms of score. So it's not like, in terms of scoring, it's not like a TOEFL that had like a very wide range of score. The TOEFL is definitely have quite limited range of score, which is from 1.9. So the chance for you to have at least 6, or the chance for you to have 7 is definitely higher than if you have more or wide range of scoring. So that's why there are a lot of students, international students, considering to take IELTS more than just than IBT or the TOEFL, because that's the reasons, like, because they have like a limited range of score, and so that if you would like to, the chance for you to get 6 or the chance for you to get 7 is definitely higher than if you take, for example, the chance for you to get 100 in IBT or 120 in IBT test. Yeah. So these are also the things that explain, like, so there is a sections, right? There are 4 sections in IELTS, from reading, listening, what else? Speaking and writing. And each of those sections will also have the score for each. And this is definitely descriptions of the score that you get. So for example, my highest score in IELTS was definitely reading and listening. So my listening is 8.5, which qualified me as somewhere between expert and a very good user. So I'm very good at listening. But in terms of speaking, if I'm not mistaken, I only got 7.5, which then qualified me as somewhere between good user and very good user. So as compared to listening, I'm better at listening than speaking. That's what my IELTS say. But the overall test, I got 7.5, which I already explained to you, that qualified me as somewhere between very good user and a good user. So every sections of the IELTS test, they have their own score, and then each of their own score, each of those section score actually describe on the qualifications that you have in that sections, right? And if you're applying for master degree, and definitely for the PhD, you definitely have to get a certain amount of score for each of sections, right? So you have at least, for example, you have at least 6 in writing, you have at least 6 in or 7 in speaking or whatever. Like they definitely have that, you know, certain amount of requirement. But then if you would like to just for student exchange or for double degree program, I don't think they will require you into that some extent. So they just probably would ask you your overall score of Ielts, which definitely an average of your score sections, right? And that's definitely easier. Okay. And last but not least is what we call as CAA, which is Cambridge English Advanced. And this is not very popular. Maybe some of you have just heard this for the first time, but probably some of you already heard about this. But this definitely is not as common as TOEFL or as IELTS, because it is only specified for the international students who are who wants to pursue their educations to UK universities, even though IELTS and TOEFL is still available and can be used if you're applying for the UK universities. But if you have CAA, they definitely will count that better than TOEFL and IELTS, right? But actually, Cambridge English Advanced, or now it's called certified, a certificate in advanced English, is definitely not for an English speaker beginner. Like it's not just for everyone. It is something that at least for an expert in English, right? If you are applying for Oxford, if you're applying for Cambridge University, that requires you to have at least C1 level of English, which is equivalent to a score 7 or 8 in IELTS, then CAA might be the right test for you. So this is not for, what do I call it? It's not for everyone. Jadi nggak untuk semua orang gitu, karena ini emang sangat segmented banget gitu, right? And the length, as compared to IELTS and TOEFL, the CAA definitely took the longest hour, which is 4 hours. And for the sections, there's no difference because they also cover reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So that's definitely 4 skills that we must excel in every English proficiency test. And in terms of scoring, it's also a bit different because they don't use a number, but instead they use a grade, which is starting from B2, C, B, or A, right? So it's not in quantitative measure, but it's more in a grade. So whether you are grade B2 or B1, or whether you are grade C1 or C2, right? So yeah. That's the CAA. I never took this test, definitely and obviously, because this is also more expensive than 2 other English proficiency tests that we just mentioned, which is TOEFL and IELTS. And this is also very segmented because it only applies to if you go to the UK university, United Kingdom universities, right? It's probably doesn't really apply that much if you would like to apply in Australia or in America. Right, so now the questions or the things that the essence of this webinar is that many of you are wondering, is there any way that I get a good score in my EPT? There are many people that are trying to find a shortcut. They want to find the easiest way. How do I get a good score? Like, right, that is a $1 billion question. How do I get a good score? How do I get 4 in GPA? But actually, I would say that there is no shortcut on that, because the process of learning foreign language is definitely not based on English alone, but definitely on any other foreign language is the process. So there is no shortcut in that. You have to give a bit of your time to learn. You have to allocate some of your time to study, to do exercise, to have a bit score. Like even me myself, I have to took like, for example, no, I took 3 times for the IELTS. One time I took for my student applications, which is the scholarship provided by the government of the Netherlands. So they give you some scholarship to study for like 3 months at the maximum at one of the university in the Netherlands. And so that was the time when I took my IELTS test the first time. And luckily, I got 7 the first time I took the IELTS test, which is quite surprising because I hope that I have better score, but eventually no. So it's like you know, it's a humble warning that now you're not that good in English, Kiky. So this is just your score. So I got only 7. So that was my first time I took my IELTS test. And then the second time I took my IELTS test is because I would like to apply for my PhD program. And I just like randomly choose any university that eventually like with my research proposal. And the second time I took IELTS, I got a 7 as well. So there's no improvement. Like that was during like, so that was the first time I took IELTS is in 2017. And the second time I took is 2019. So during that 2 years, there is no improvement or whatsoever. So I still got stuck in 7 score, which actually may be enough for some of the university, but for the university that I want to go at the time required me to have at least 7.5. And then so they have to retook for the 3rd time my IELTS until I got the required amount that I want, which is the required score that I want, which is 7.5. So I would say there is no easy or like shortcut strategy for you to get a high score. But maybe some of this fact that I would like to give you would like to bit of giving you encouragement, because I don't want to give you like discouragement instead of let's just get some encouragement. So the facts that you may want to consider, right? If you say that, all right, so there's no shortcut, then what should I do? The first thing is that English is not the most difficult language to learn in the world. So this is based on research. The most difficult language to learn is not English. So there is other language which is more difficult. They have Mandarin, Arabic, Russia, Turk, and Poland. So say if you are good in Arabic, some of you may just graduated from pesantren and then you have a very good Arabic. The likelihood for you to learn English better and the chance for you to learn English quicker is very likely, right? So if you know Arabic good, like if you can speak Arabic, you can definitely speak English, because Arabic is in that level which is more difficult than English. Or if you're studying Mandarin and then you can speak Mandarin, some of you may come from you know, the Mandarin ancients, you definitely can also learn English quicker. So if you have, so what I would like to say is that English is not that difficult, actually. The truth is not that difficult. And now there is even many available resources now for you to explore, and they're available for free. Like I use Ielts List, that is the name of the YouTube account that helps me a lot in improving my 0.5 score in IELTS from 7 to 7.5. So I use IELTS List as the resources that I use a lot during my preparations to take the IELTS test, because I don't follow, like I don't join a certain preparation test. So I just do it by myself. Like I learn by myself, and so that I use a lot of, you know, free resources to help me out, to like, you know, help me figure out what is the best way to answer certain questions and so on. And if you are applying for TOEFL, for example, there is also TST Prep. That is the account in YouTube that you definitely can check that as well, right? And you can even use Netflix, right? Nowadays, people are very much eager to like watch Netflix. You can definitely use that as a point of your reference in learning English. You definitely can use Netflix or podcasts or YouTube to scale up your learning. And for sure, to do that is just to click on the English version. So if, for example, if you watch Netflix, just instead of using Indonesian subtitle, for example, just use English subtitle. And at some point, you probably would like to just erase or not using any subtitle to just give you a bit of sense of listening and so on. So you definitely can use a wide varieties of resources that you can explore and use. There is also a survey which is conducted by EF, English First, which reveals that Indonesia ranked 28 out of 63 countries in its English skills. So if you go abroad and then you meet with Indonesian friends, you will see that most of them can speak English very well. Like even here in Australia, some of the most of the of my friends who study here, definitely they have English skill which is more than average. So we're okay. It means that we're some of that we are ranked 28 is not that bad, right? We're not even the or not in the middle of like 50% quadrant, but we're in number 28, which is we're okay. So we're good, right? And there's also a research which is published in one of the journal showing that, right? So they identify what makes people good in speaking English, what makes some people good or learn better and learn faster in English as compared to other people. So if you see your friends, there are also a wider variety of friends that speak English better than you. What makes them do that? So the research showed that the strong first language is actually the key to acquiring a strong second language, right? So if you have a good Bahasa Indonesia skill, right, it's most likely that you have also good and faster and better in learning English. So strong first language is always the key. Well, for Bu Popi and Bu Roro, maybe we know Pak Suarjono, right? So he's very keen of like, right. So Professor Suarjono is always keen in like, the importance of Bahasa Indonesia as the foundation in learning English, because that is actually the way, right? If you have a good Bahasa Indonesia skill, then most likely you also have better chances to learn English faster. And that's true based on research. So yeah, maybe we can start by improving our Bahasa Indonesia if we want to. And then we can definitely do faster in learning English. While for adults, learning language or foreign language can be improved through several ways. As I said before, a lot of readings, of course, reading in English is definitely very helpful, and a lot of friends. So there are two factors, right, in a way we can do by improving our English capability. The first one is that you read a lot of things, like how much you read, and you have a lot of friends, like how social you are. So that's why English club, like in economic faculty, we have English faculty, what you call it, effect. That is a very good ways of like, gathering people who have the same interest in English, and then you gather together and then you speak English. That is a very good chance. I used to do that when I was in my high school. So I was an alumni of SMA 1 Purwokerto, and they have these English club, which I adore and which I adore very much, because it helps me a lot in learning English. So we have a bunch of like nerd kids that love to English, and then in every meeting, like every time we have a meeting, at least in our own meetings, we try to use English, and that's helped me a lot to practice my English. And that is actually a very important point as well, as an adult, if you want to learn English. So the more you use the English, the better, right? So if you're coming from, say, international class, please make use of it, because you have this privilege as compared to your friends, which is not using English in their class. You have this privilege to practice your English. So try to use that as best as you can. And last but not least, and this has also become very important, is that your attitude with the attitude in which you approach language is important. For example, I took an example. If you like K-pop, because K-pop is now very popular, like everywhere, you will find learning Korean easier because you love K-pop, right? And also apply with other language. If you like take, for example, if you like watch Hollywood movies, it's probably easier for you to learn English as well. So trying to have an attitude, a positive attitude in learning the language, because it will help to motivate you, right? If you have these certain ideas that English is hard, that English is difficult, that English is whatever, right? It will also affect your motivations in learning English. So the attitude is definitely very important. The approach that you have in learning English is definitely important. And this is not only in English, right? The same approach goes to when you also would like to learn other foreign language. Right. So in conclusion, learning language is markedly definitely different to memorizing like historical fact or complicated math problems, right? You may need to experiment to find which of the tips work to improve your for your English learning. So I would say there is no formula, right? There is no formula. There is no a strategy that is applicable to one person may not be applicable to other person, right? And vice versa, right? Because it's very individual. You have to find out what is the best strategy that you have. So in the next maybe 2 or 3 slides, I'm going to give you some tips that might be useful, but to know which one of these tips that is actually useful for you, you have to experiment it by yourself, right? So first thing that you can do, start from right now, is that read everything you can get your hands on. So if you have an English magazines, or if you have if you like to go surfing on the internet, just try to now, instead of thetik.com, right, or whatever, like gossip or whatever, like the account that is not that the account that is Bahasa Indonesia, you try to switch it and try to find information on the English website. So try to read everything you can get your hands on. As I said before, not only that it will add your vocabulary, not only that it will help your reading skill, but it also can harness your reasoning skill, which also very important, especially when you took the writing test. The second one, you actively take note of a new vocabulary. And I definitely do that now because like from day to day basis, I have to like write every day. I have to write, even though that's only like a one paragraph. So I take actively the note, like new words that that I find might be useful in my writing, the more sophisticated words. So actively taking notes definitely help me to write better, right? And talk with real life humans. Like you can do that, as I said before, with your friends, with your teacher, with your lecturer in a class, or with whomever you would like to, right? But talk, like just go out there, and no, you cannot go out there because now it's pandemic, but definitely you talk with real life humans, right? And definitely do practice in writing. So in the last at least 2 years, my daily day job is actually writing, and I can see the difference. When I first started writing in my early stage of my PhD study, my writing is just so not that good, right? There are a lot of typos, there are a lot of grammatically error and such. But now if I look back to my writing now, there's still some grammatical error, but I think it's definitely better. Like I can reduce some typos, and I can do more. I can use more sophisticated words, and that thanks to practice in writing. So practice writing is definitely very important. You can subscribe to a podcast or YouTube channel in English to help you in listening skills, and that helps a lot. I like if I do my chores, like if I do washing, definitely using a washing machine, I listen to podcasts. So I get a lot of information, and also have like, new vocabulary, which find very appealing, but also helps me to like listen better, right? So do that stuff instead of just maybe listening to music. Maybe it's better to now learn some podcasts, which is very like insightful. Like there are a lot of bunch of podcasts out there that you can definitely listen to. And of course, you have to gradually allocate the time to learn and practice your English. So what I did at the time when I had to take my Ielts test is that I allocate 1 hour a day for practice. So only 1 hour, but you can actually definitely start with 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then gradually after that allocate more time to learn, right? So try something that is not burden you. So you can start with only 15 minutes. So now start from today, I will allocate 15 minutes of my time to read something in English or to listen something in English, right? And then over time, allocate more of the time, like from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, until 30 minutes. And then it will add up until the time that you have to take your English test. And that's definitely will help you a lot. Like you wouldn't know that the progress you made every day will definitely help you to equip you in the English test when the times come. Right. And last, this is, I think, something that I would like to promote and something that is very hands-on that you can take. I think Bu Poppy had done this a lot because she's in charge of, promoting the international mobility. But I would like to emphasize that, learning English is not waste of your time, because you definitely can use that to many chances or to many opportunities, right? Because the title for today's webinar is Gaining More Opportunities. There are a bunch of opportunities out there that you can try. And that's some sort of extent required your English competence. So there is this program. I believe that you also, hopefully that you have understand this program quite well. So we have Mobilitas Internasional Mahasiswa Indonesia, part of, I think, Kampus Merdeka program, which definitely give you a lot of advantages, right? So you can go definitely everywhere in the world. Like I don't have this program when I was in my college years. Definitely if I have this program, I will definitely go with this program because it will take you to whatever country that you want. So you can go from America to Australia, you can go from Europe to say Russia, whatever country. And then just apply in that, like there are hundreds and thousands of universities around the world, and you can apply in that university. And once you get the applications ready, you can apply for this scholarship. And from my knowledge, I don't think that requirement is also that difficult to apply for this ISMA program, because it's actually very simple. Maybe for the detail, you can definitely check to the International Relation Office at Unsud, or maybe you can ask Bu Poppy for more detail. But what is actually covered by ISMA is that it will cost you nothing. So you will go to every country in the world literally for free, right? So you will go, you will have an experience hands-on, the first experience hands-on, and you will take that for free. It will cover your registrations and tuition fee. It will cover your transportation allowance. It will even cover your living allowance, your health insurance if it is needed, your visa allowance, and now in the pandemic, it will also cover your PCR test. So it basically covers you everything that you need, right? You don't have to even spend a single penny for this program. And then imagine you have this experience to learn and experience first hands-on in other universities and having like a lot of international exposure. So this program is definitely something that you have to try. And let's see a bit of its requirements. So here, the English language proficiency, they only require IELTS for 6, which I believe you can do that firsthand or probably in a second try. But they also apply for, they also accept Duolingo English language proficiency, which I think is a lot easier and is a lot cheaper as compared to TOEFL IBT, the ITP, or even the IELTS. So you definitely have to check this out and see if you're now in somewhere semester between 3 or 4 semester, you definitely have to check this, as you will have a time to prepare maybe for next year program, because I hope that this program will be continually held over time. And next year, I think this year is already, I'm not sure. I think this year has already been closed, but hopefully next year they will open this program again. And when the time next year, you will be ready for this. So try and start small things from now. Try to start like preparing your English skill ready by the time that you will take the test. And then once you get the test and you get the score, then apply for this program, and definitely just, you will be happy in the next year that you already go somewhere abroad and find a lot of things, right? I have to say that the reasons why I like English, and I definitely have a benefits of learning English, is because it takes me everywhere. Like, it gives me a lot of chance. It opens a lot of chance. It's not that Bahasa Indonesia bad, but definitely if you would like to go outside, and if you like to have an international exposure, and if you had like, more chances, definitely English is important. So having said that, I hope that what I just gave you is quite a bit of information. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything to discuss, I'm happy to answer that. I think that's pretty much all, Bu Karina, for my presentations. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Kiky Sri Rejeki. Now we will go ahead and take some time for questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your question into the question box in the chat box down below. You may write your question in English or maybe in Indonesian. If anyone want to asking live, please click the raise hand buttons and then I will come to you. Also, you may deliver your question in English or in Indonesian. Okay, is there anyone who raising your hand and want to asking live? You can definitely use Indonesian also, yeah, not only English. Okay, is there anyone want to asking about the opportunity that we get with English competency and maybe some of your experience in understanding English and may take you everywhere in the world? Yeah. Okay, Bu Kiki asking, Poppy, asking if you have any recommendation of podcast or YouTube which may be good to subscribe for beginner, please share with us. You also have your own podcast, is it right?
I have my own podcast, but that's in Indonesian. It's it's not in English yet. Hopefully, I don't know. Sometimes in the future, hopefully, I can also provide a podcast served based in English. But yeah, definitely, I like subscribing podcast or YouTube. As I say, it's probably the reasons why we want to subscribe or listen to YouTube or listen to podcast is because we want it to be helpful for us to learn English, right? So I think the key for that is finding the right topic that you want. So for example, I like talking about psychology. I because I'm pretty much a lot working with the behavioral theories as a management accounting does. So I learn a lot about behavioral theories, and so that's why I subscribe a lot something related to psychology, and that helps me a lot in so I don't feel like it's a burden to listen. It's not something that I don't like the topic. So it's very important to find the topics that you like, and then you can start from there. As I said, if your purpose is to learn or take a TOEFL test, for example, the PTE Prep, that's the name of the YouTube account. You can definitely check that because it helps you gives you some strategies on how to handle the questions in reading sections or in writing sections, right? But if you go with the Ielts, I definitely find Ielts list is very helpful for me. So that helps me a lot in managing my, especially my writing skill. So what I would like to say is that find one topics, whatever topic that you find it interesting, and start from there, right? Jadi mungkin nyari topik yang sesuai dengan kesukaannya, sehingga nanti ketika dengerin kita juga jadi happy gitu. Kalau saya banyak sih yang saya subscribe di podcast. I subscribe Speaking of Psychology by American Associations of Psychological American Association, and I subscribe Kickback. That is a podcast talking about corruptions in the entire world, because my research right now is also talking a bit about corrupt behavior. So I definitely need that sort of source of information. I also subscribe TED Talks.
TED Talks.
Which I find, TED Talks is very good. Like they have a very good speaker in varieties of topics, right? So you can check that. I hope that answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we have our second question coming from Budona. Have you ever had the biggest obstacle in applying English in the world of education? If so, what is the solution for that obstacle?
Right, I think so is this the questions about me using English in my work? If that's the sense, then I think the reasons why, like especially me, like when I teach in international class, I used to be a lecturer in one of the international classes. The reason is the hesitance of the students to use English. Like, I don't know, for whatever reasons, they probably
That's right. Yeah, I find it that too. Yeah, I find that too in my class. Yeah.
Right. So there are many students that do not feel confident in speaking English. Well, in fact, the thing is your lecturer doesn't also have that good English, right? So it's not like we're the master and then you're students and then you don't have a chance. But the thing is the hesitance, like the students don't feel confidence in using their English. While in fact, probably they are good, right? They just don't know, or they just feel shy, or for whatever reason, they don't feel confidence in using it. And that's probably because there is some stigma around of students that use English. So from what I know, like I have a talk like with some of the students like in the early days of my career at Unsud. And then I say, why you don't want to speak English? And then one student out of the class came up to me and said that I actually want to use English, ma'am, but I don't feel like confidence because once I speak in English, then my friends will just start it like, ooh, like that, So there's this stigma around people and that is very shameful because you don't have to do that with your friends, right? Because this is the international class and that is the norm that you should build, right? But that's the fact. And so what we can do as a teacher, I think that we can just still like promoting using that and encouraging students to use that by giving, say, maybe an appreciation for students who want to speak up English or want just to come up with an opinions and speak it out in English, right? But for if I talk about if my point of view is as a lecturer, and then one of the biggest obstacle is that because we have to do research and then have to do some publication in English, I found that there are a lot of I got a lot of rejections in this, Scopus, some Q1, Q2. And the reason being is that because they always say, my English is not in that level of even in the writing, they know that I'm not an English speaker. And that feels like, and that humbles me very much. But then I find that, right, for us to be able to very good in writing, the process that we need is not just a shortcut. It's not a shortcut hand, but this is something that we have to develop over time. And for us as the lecturer, I think the reasons for not being able to completely write very good in English is because we don't have that much time to improve ourselves in that area. And so we think that, just write it in Indonesia and then use some sort of this expert to translate, or even a Google to translate, So we always want to have a start card. And that's the mindset that I think we have to change from now on, because it's definitely this is something that you can just, it's not something that I'm flipping your hand and it's easy. It can be easily changed, right? So I think that's two way of look at the things on how applying English is particularly difficult when I do myself as a lecturer that have to teach in a class, or when I have to write something in English because of my, as a part of a job as a lecturer. Yeah,
Also,
hope that
maybe deal to the rejection coming from some of your publication. Maybe it motivates you to be more good in your writing, right? Because
yeah,
you struggle a lot.
at some point that also humbles me a lot in terms of, all right, so now then, oh, my English is not that good, right? I mean, people can
That gives you more
eventually see.
motivation.
Yeah, in some sense, hope so. But actually, the things is that it's not like we're not always in a good mood, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
something bad can
Yeah.
eventually motivate us, but sometimes we hear bad news, it just can like, drag us to, down and down. So yeah, the thing is, the improvement, like the small changes of improvement is needed. Just like when we learn everything new, like something new, right? It's not only applied to English, but if we would like to learn something new, everything, it is something that we have to do gradually. It's not a shortcut, and it's not an instant process.
Okay, maybe that's also how to handle the perfectionism in ourselves, yeah, because some of us maybe have that perfectionism. So we must make sure that our writing skill, our reading skill must be perfect. Ya, itu yang membuat kita jadi malah stuck gitu, karena pada saat kita mencari kesempurnaan, jadi malah kita tidak tertarik untuk belajar dengan lebih baik.
Yeah, true.
Okay, now we have other questions.
Thank you, Bu Kiky.
Okay, thank you. Does the CEA test available in other university country besides in the UK?
Right. So CAA is definitely, as I said, not for everyone. So it is targeting an expert English user, right? And that's jadi CAA itu memang targetnya itu bukan buat English user beginner gitu, bukan untuk pemula bahasa Inggris, tapi memang untuk orang-orang yang mungkin sudah pakai bahasa Inggris dalam kehidupan sehari-harinya, tapi mereka bukan orang luar negeri gitu. Maksudnya mereka orang Indonesia, tapi udah kayak hari-hariannya juga udah biasa pakai bahasa Inggris. Dan if the question is asking whether it is available to other university, well, actually you definitely can use that, because as I said, itu untuk yang advance kan. Berarti kalau kamu once punya CAA, itu kayak udah menunjukkan bahwa kamu itu more than a good user, then you are an expert user, jadi bisa dipakai di universitas lain. Cuman memang nggak umum gitu, dan kebanyakan pakainya karena ini dulu namanya Cambridge English Test gitu, tapi sekarang namanya udah dirubah jadi Certified Advanced Test, karena untuk biar lebih inklusif lagi, karena dulu kan eksklusif kalau mau ke UK doang ya, makanya namanya, dan karena yang ngeluarin untuk Cambridge makanya namanya Cambridge Test gitu. Tapi sekarang namanya udah dirubah jadi Certified Advanced Test, yang artinya itu bisa dipakai juga di universitas lain. Kalau kita misalnya mau apply di Amerika atau di mana, di Australia atau di mana, itu bisa dipakai juga. Cuman jarang sih, maksudnya jarang-jarang orang mau pakai ini karena emang maksudnya nggak terlalu terkenal juga kali ya dibandingkan Ielts atau dibandingkan dengan TOEFL gitu. Dan harganya juga lebih mahal sedikit dibandingkan Ielts atau TOEFL gitu.
Oke, Mbak Kansa Rizky, sudah jelas ya jawaban dari Bu Kiky mengenai CAA test yang available di other university. Jadi boleh-boleh saja jika kita memiliki sertifikasi CAA, kemudian kita mendaftar ke universitas lain selain yang ada di UK. Mungkin juga tergantung kepada prosedur universitas yang kita tuju, apakah dia memperbolehkan sertifikasi lain selain mungkin TOEFL atau IELTS ya. Kalau memang mereka sudah spesifik untuk menuliskan prosedur pendaftarannya menggunakan sertifikat IELTS atau TOEFL, nah mungkin nanti kalian tetap harus menyertakan sertifikat yang diminta ya sesuai dengan prosedur.
Ya.
Oke, silahkan. Apakah ada pertanyaan lagi? Jangan khawatir ya, kalian boleh menanyakan pertanyaannya kepada narasumber menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Mungkin ada yang ingin bertanya secara live?
Aku mau nanya dong sama mahasiswanya nih.
Oke, boleh. Mungkin ke asisten lab juga nih. Asisten labnya bahasa ini bergabung semua di lab terpadu, Bu Kiky.
Oke. Aku mau nanya sama pesertanya nih, karena biasanya untuk menghidupkan suasana kita harus nanya dulu, kadang-kadang suka gitu. Karena orang Indonesia tuh sopan banget gitu.
Not feel too confident mungkin ya, not feel confident enough gitu.
Iya, dan ini tuh agak beda loh. Jadi, so I actually teach here. I have an opportunity to teach here. Dan itu beda banget, makanya kadang aku suka kangen ya sama anak-anak unsut yang baik hati. Karena anak-anak
Critical
sini,
ya, students-nya critical banget ya.
anak sini ya mungkin karena emang maksudnya sistem edukasinya mereka dari kecil di sini emang udah diajarkan untuk kayak ya kalau kamu apa gitu speak up aja gitu ya. Jadi di sini tuh yang bikin aku kadang suka kangen sama anak-anak unsut itu karena anak-anak unsut kan mostly kalau kayak kita, mereka ada mungkin kalau pas lagi nggak dengerin terus ada ngerasa bersalah gitu kan ya. Kalau di sini kalau kita ngomongnya nggak menarik, mereka keluar aja gitu ke keluar kelas. Jadi aku pernah diceritain salah satu temanku yang dia orang Vietnam, dia juga jadi tutor gitu. Terus dia tiba-tiba pas selesai sesinya dia tutor, dia cerita sama saya kalau beberapa anaknya tuh walk out gitu. Terus
in the middle of the class,
benar-benar walk out karena they find it that it's
very interesting.
Like apa yang disampaikan sama dosennya tuh sesuatu yang mereka akhirnya bisa dipelajari sendiri. Maksudnya itu mungkin sense itu nggak menarik, sense itu nggak ngasih mereka insight baru atau apa gitu. Terus sejak saya diceritain itu langsung saya, waduh gimana nih ya, karena kan kelasnya saya besokannya, aduh gimana nih gitu. Waktu itu diceritain waktu pas awal-awal saya belum ada pengalaman gitu, and it turns out to be true gitu. Alhamdulillah sih nggak ada yang sampai walk out, tapi mereka very critical. Like misalnya kita, karena saya kebetulan di manajemen accounting ya, misalnya kayak cerita tentang ABC gitu, tentang ABC
activity based
costing, gitu kan agak-agak ribet gitu ya.
Costing.
Agak-agak ribet gitu kan, maksudnya kayak harus tahu ininya dulu, cost
departementalisasinya.
Gitu. Terus ada anak yang bilang, apa sih kita belajar kayak gini? Karena pada akhirnya apakah kita ketika nanti kerja kita
really use it or not gitu ya.
Menggunakan itu atau enggak? Bukankah udah ada sistem, mereka cerita sistemnya, karena mereka juga belajar di kelas yang lain kan. Nah di situ kan jadi butuh kita sebagai fasilitator di kelas itu untuk juga wake up ya, bahwa mereka tuh butuh
theoretical understanding.
Not only theoretical understanding, tapi apa nih? Kenapa aku harus belajar ini gitu? Why I have to learn this?
The reason behind it, ya.
Is that going to be helpful for me in the future? Gitu-gitu loh. Jadi harus dikasih tahu alasannya. Okay, so this chapter we're going to talk about ABC and the reasons why you have to study about this is bla 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 bla. Jadi mereka harus dikasih tahu dulu alasannya kenapa kamu belajar chapter ini sehingga ada engagement gitu. So I learned that a lot. Anak-anak di sini lumayan bikin saya sport jantung tiap kali mau kelas karena takutnya kayak tiba-tiba ada pertanyaan yang saya nggak bisa jawab, terus gimana gitu ya, maksudnya ya maksudnya kan semua lah ya, semua dosen juga kalau misalnya tiba-tiba dikasih pertanyaan yang out of the box kadang-kadang suka apa gitu. Jadi itu bikin saya humble in a way, ya bahwa saya harus terus keep on learning gitu. So back again, saya mau nanya sama anak-anak di sini. Tadi kan saya udah ceritain dikit tuh tentang program ISMA ya, International Student Mobility Award. Ada nggak nih dari peserta sebanyak ini yang mungkin tahun kemarin atau mungkin tahun ini coba program itu? Kalau ada, coba. Siapa aja yang udah coba program itu? Terus apa hasilnya, lolos atau nggak lolos? Mungkin bisa cerita deh. Ada nggak yang?
Mungkin dari partisipan ada yang pernah nyoba ISMA nggak untuk program ISMA ini? Maybe international students mungkin pernah nyoba. Ada yang dari international students nggak?
Ada nggak nih yang ikut? Nggak ada yang ikut ya? Belum pernah nyoba, oke.
Ya, belum pernah nyoba. Mungkin belum dapat exposure-nya juga, Bu Kiky. Jadi mereka mungkin baru tahunya, belum pernah nyoba, Bu. Ya,
kalau Dika
ya.
sama Dika belum pernah nyoba karena belum tahu atau gimana nih Dika? Dika sama Fikri nih. Kalau Risang kan katanya baru tahu nih. Kalau Dika sama Fikri gimana?
Fikri also one of our assistant in foreign language laboratory in the digital multimedia division.
Karena baru tahu juga ya, oke. So karena sekarang udah tahu, berarti nggak ada alasan nih tahun depan untuk nggak nyoba.
Ya, untuk tidak mencoba ya.
Ya, karena sekarang udah tahu. Jadi mungkin bisa dicoba nih tahun depan. Karena gini. Saya tuh diceritain sama salah satu teman saya yang ngajar di UII, karena kebetulan dulu saya pernah ngajar di UII, terus masih hubungan baik sama beberapa dosen di sana. Terus anak UI itu banyak banget gitu yang kemarin tuh daftar untuk program ini, tapi nggak tahu sih sampai tahap berapa yang lolos gitu. Karena happy banget kan, seru banget kalau bisa dapet, kamu gratis, semuanya tuh gratis. Jadi yang mungkin perlu dipersiapkan yang kamu harus bayar itu hanya tes bahasa Inggrisnya aja gitu. Jadi tes bahasa Inggris yang mungkin di lab bahasanya FEB kan juga bisa memfasilitasi itu misalnya untuk tes gitu.
Yeah, I suggest ASMI maybe have to come join to this program because dia itu dapat highest score in TOEFL test yang waktu itu diadakan oleh IFEC ya. ASMI is one of the participants in this class. ASMI, would you like to join the program maybe? Oke, mungkin tidak memonitor ya.
Iya. Ya jadi gitu, maksudnya sayang banget kalau nggak diikutin.
Sayang
gitu.
Banget, iya.
Sayang banget. Karena udah gratis, terus kamu dapat
benefitnya banyak.
Sama gini, kemarin saya ngobrol-ngobrol sama, sempat ngobrol sama salah satu mahasiswa saya, Rama sama Angel. Mereka dapat kesempatan buat double degree kan ke Jepang, terus mereka emang dari awal tuh kayak antusias gitu untuk belajar di luar negeri gitu. Dan beberapa anak-anak unsut yang dapat kesempatan buat double degree di luar negeri itu suka cerita juga kan sama saya, seneng banget gitu. Jadi dapetin atmosfer yang beda, maksudnya beda lah ceritanya gitu ya. Maksudnya bisa ke luar negeri, dapat exposure, budaya yang berbeda gitu ya, lingkungan yang berbeda. Nanti balik-balik ketika balik ke Indonesia, anak-anak yang udah pernah dapat international exposure pasti beda deh. Entah dari cara berpikir yang mungkin lebih open minded, entah apa ya, banyak lah hal-hal perubahan baik yang bisa dibawa gitu.
Cultures ya, karena ada perbedaan budaya itu yang mungkin akan membuat lebih menarik.
Yeah.
Is it only for the international program or also for the regular students?
Kalau yang kayak double degree mungkin untuk anak internasional doang.
Only
Tapi kalau
international,
ISMA itu buat anak reguler bisa banget gitu. Makanya karena ISMA ini kan programnya dari Kementerian Pendidikan kan. Maksudnya dia bukan program yang unsur ngadain, tapi ini program nasional gitu. Jadi whatever background yang kamu punya itu bisa diikuti. Nah, kemarin tuh saya dapat tip katanya di unsur itu ada sih yang lolos, alhamdulillah. Katanya ke Amerika gitu, tapi bukan anak FEB emang. Gitu. Jadi
sayang sekali ya.
Iya, seru banget loh. Coba bayangin ke Amerika, maksudnya kayak pandemi di Indonesia
itu apalagi
kan udah banget nggak sih kalian?
Mengeluarkan biaya lagi
ya. 2
ya.
tahun kan.
Iya.
Kayak di sini, misalnya mereka bisa dapat exposure, misalnya mungkin akhir tahun ini mereka berangkat ke Amerika, kan seru banget. Mereka di sana di Amerika udah mulai back to normal lagi kan. Jadi mereka udah bisa mulai kuliah kayak biasa. Beberapa universitas sudah buka. Kalau di Australia malah di tempat saya kayak nggak pernah ngerasain pandemi gitu, karena dari awal kita nggak ada lockdown, kita nggak ada apa, karena emang nggak ada kasus gitu. Jadi seru banget gitu. Jadi diambil kesempatannya untuk ikut programnya. Dan yang lebih kerennya lagi, program yang kamu ambil sama di luar negeri itu bisa kamu convert untuk apa namanya, SKS-nya, benar. Jadi kamu nggak akan memperlama
masa kuliah.
Kalaupun memperlama itu worth it banget juga. Misalnya memperlama jadi lebih lama 1 semester, itu worth it banget.
Worth
gitu.
it ya, karena experience yang diperoleh itu banyak juga.
Betul.
I think mereka sebenarnya tertarik, cuma belum tahu ya. Kayaknya ini baru tahu karena mungkin penyebaran informasinya belum terlalu meluas mungkin ya di unsur.
Karena baru memang.
Iya.
Programnya baru. It's okay, masih bisa kok tahun depan untuk
tahun
coba.
depan.
Yes.
Semoga masih continue terus ya Bu Kiky untuk programnya.
Ya, mudah-mudahan sih ya, bukan cuman karena menterinya baru terus akhirnya programnya baru. Mudah-mudahan bisa continue terus karena seru banget bisa gitu. Bisa kemana-mana gitu.
Oke, dari audiens apakah ada lagi yang ingin ditanyakan? Silahkan, mungkin ada yang ingin bertanya langsung ya, dari tadi pertanyaannya hanya di kolom chat, mungkin ada yang mau bertanya langsung, silahkan.
Mungkin co-hostnya nih, Bu Monik mau nanya kayaknya.
Nggak Mbak, cukup.
Some of our assistants maybe in language foreign laboratory, ini kan kesempatan kalian untuk praktis English ya, langsung. Walaupun bukan native speaker, tapi kan sudah banyak pengalamannya ya di luar negeri. Some of our assistant is in here, Bu Kiky. Ada Mas Pedro, ada Mbak Fikri. Mas Pedro dan Mbak Fikri itu coming from division of multimedia and publication. Terus ada, wait a minute, I see. Beberapa tutor English Day juga ada di sini. Terus divisi finance juga ada, divisi education juga ada. Silakan nih kesempatan kalian untuk bertanya secara live langsung. Mungkin kalian ingin melanjutkan studi magister kalian di luar negeri, misalnya kalian membutuhkan informasi fellowship atau awards atau apa, silakan.
Namanya Pedro aja udah English banget tuh. Pedro,
Iya, English
gitu kan.
banget ya.
Lebih gampang dipanggil dibandingkan Kiky Sri Rejeki kan.
Iya.
Okay, Mbak Fikri, maybe want to ask some question?
Maybe.
Belum ada Ibu.
Iya.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you go first, Mas.
Okay. Yeah. For me, the presentation very inspiring. Kalau ini pertanyaan dari aku sih, Bu, mungkin lebih ke apa ya? I mean prepare a lot of things related administration yang kayak gitu-gitu. Tapi kalau dari diri kita sendiri yang kayak am I capable for this one kayak gitu-gitu tuh ada nggak sih Bu kayak oh ya udah kalau misalnya kayak gini mungkin coba aja deh tahun depan atau ya udah yang pertama-tama harus disiapin itu mental dulu kayak gitu-gitu Bu. Ya semoga dapat.
How to have a higher confidence ya.
Ya betul.
Ini Pedro yang nanya nih.
Iya, Pedro. Dia asisten lab LBA di bagian publikasi dan multimedia.
Oke. Jadi kalau tadi pertanyaannya gimana nih buat biar dapat mental yang untuk mau nyoba, alasannya nggak usah ribet nyari alasan deh. The things that you have to do is just try. Because you never know if you never try. Gitu.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know that you're capable of doing something if you don't try? Definitely no kan. Maksudnya kita tahu kita tuh bisa, itu ya setelah kita tahu kita nyoba gitu. Nah, kalau ini nyoba aja belum, ya gimana kita tahu bisa. So, mantra itu yang saya pakai sejauh ini ya, yang akhirnya sampai bikin saya juga akhirnya, dulu tuh saya juga banyak insecurities, and it's very normal as a human being untuk insecure gitu kan. Kita insecure in a lot of things. And that's very normal as a human being. Tapi mantra itu yang saya pakai. Jadi apa sih ruginya kalau nyoba? Maksudnya what is the worst thing that could happen if I try?
Yeah.
Okay. Jadi kayak dulu tuh misalnya waktu pas saya apply untuk S3, saya apply di beberapa universitas. Terus asal aja gitu ya. Maksudnya emang nggak punya strategi khusus harus menyasar ke universitas yang mana. Saya apply aja ke mana-mana. Some of them I got a rejection. Saya juga dapat rejection dari beberapa karena dianggapnya research project-nya kurang menarik dan seterusnya. But then what is the worst thing if I got a rejection? Kan? Apa ruginya kalau dapat rejection? Nggak ada. Ruginya ya cuman sedih aja paling sehari itu ya gagal nih, nggak bisa. But then what? Life goes on kan? Maksudnya hidup kita akan terus berlanjut juga dengan kegagalan itu. Yang ada malah apa? Jadi kita tahu, berarti project-nya ternyata karena mereka selalu kasih feedback kan, kayak misalnya research kamu tuh kurang menarik karena gini. Oh, jadi malah saya jadi bisa nambah tuh. Oh, berarti kalau saya mau tetap di topik riset ini, biar bikin menarik, saya kasih konteks yang seperti ini atau kayak saya kasih perspektif yang seperti ini gitu. Jadi saya selalu mikir what is so bad in trying? What is the worst thing that could happen if I try and fail? Nggak ada gitu. Nggak ada hal buruk yang akan terjadi kalau kita nyoba dan gagal gitu. So mantra itu yang saya pakai dan itu membawa saya ke banyak opportunity. Jadi saya apply banyak. Jadi waktu pas misalnya sebelum S3 saya apply untuk di yang ke Belanda. Saya coba aja gitu. Coba terus ya dapat alhamdulillah. Karena apa? Nyoba. Padahal tadinya kayak nggak pede karena ini kok topiknya kayak bukan sesuatu yang saya expertise di situ juga gitu ya, tapi ya udah nyoba aja bisa. And then what else? Ya banyak hal lah yang kayak kemarin tahun 2020 saya masih student baru, belum genap 1 semester. tiba-tiba ditawarin sama supervisor untuk would you like to present your ideas untuk research project-nya di ada satu forum akuntan gitu di Australia. Terus saya pikir, who am I doing that presentations? I mean, not even like I have a solid idea gitu kan. Belum satu semester, projectnya juga masih belum jelas arahnya kemana. But then he said that to me. Terus saya bilang, what is the worst thing that could happen if I tried? And then I shame myself for whatever reason. Gak ada, yang ada paling mungkin saya malu aja tiba-tiba nggak bisa jawab profesor. But then that's it, right? So I say yes, of course I will take that a chance. And then the thing is that the worst thing is not happening. Was not happening. Like it's not even happen. Like you wouldn't get ashamed. Like something. Kalau kamu malu tuh kan kadang cuman kayak pikiran kita aja kita malu. Padahal orang lain tuh nggak mau mempermalukan kita. Like say they give us a question and then kita nggak bisa jawab. Mereka bertanya itu kan bukan untuk mempermalukan kita kan. Misalnya kita orang dosen tuh nanya ke kamu terus kamu nggak bisa jawab. Dosen itu kan nggak ada maksud buat mempermalukan kamu. Yang malu kan kita sendiri. So it is a self-conception. Malu itu adalah self-conception yang kita bikin sendiri gitu. So sebenarnya itu hanya ada di pikiran kita aja gitu. Jadi yang buat saya keep going sih gitu Pedro. Jadi nggak usah mikir yang terlalu, aduh nanti gimana ya kalau apa aku bisa atau enggak. Caranya tahu kamu bisa atau enggak coba. Kalau ternyata gagal, it's okay. What is the worst thing that could happen? Nothing gitu ya. And then life goes on. And then you have this one experience yang udah kamu coba, yang itu bisa bikin kamu lebih kaya lagi untuk coba pengalaman yang lain. And I think this is also happen with like some of the students that just going forward with yang mereka coba aja gitu ya. Modalnya itu udah coba aja. Karena modal coba aja itu kadang cukup gitu. Jadi modal nekat aja kadang cukup untuk buka opportunity baru.
Justru maybe the worst thing itu adalah never try ya. That's the worst thing because you afraid of failed and then you never try. So that's the worst thing ever.
Ya. Dan satu lagi tuh karena Bu Karina nyebut itu, nyeselnya karena gagal sama nyeselnya karena nggak nyoba itu lebih nyesek karena nggak nyoba.
Yeah,
jadi kalau kamu nyoba dan gagal, kamu kayak agak sedih gitu kan. Tapi sedihnya itu beda dengan ketika temanmu ternyata nyoba yang kamu pikir kamu nggak bisa, temanmu akhirnya modal nekat dan dia berhasil dan dia bisa. Terus kamu kayak nyesel, ya kenapa kok dulu aku nyoba masuk gitu. Jadi nyesel karena gagal dan nyesel karena nggak nyoba itu lebih nyesek karena nggak nyoba.
Nggak nyoba.
Mendingan nyoba aja.
That's a good point ya. We have to shift our point of view. Kita harus memindahkan sudut pandang kita untuk kita mencoba modal nekat ya. Jangan kita nggak confident sebelum mencoba. Oke, silahkan selanjutnya. Mungkin ada lagi yang mau bertanya. Oke, mungkin ingin bertanya langsung.
Siapa Mbak Karin? Can I drop a question for Bu Kiky?
Yes, you can.
So Amelia is raising hand right now, so you may give Amelia for the first chance.
Yes. Okay, Amelia, please.
All right, thank you so much, Bu Poppy, for this opportunity. I would like to ask to Bu Kiky actually, and I'm actually the one of English tutor in LBS, and
you also some of our English tutor in LBA. Okay.
Yeah, and I.
So welcome to our laboratory.
Thank you so much, Karina. Okay. As you tell the story about teaching, I focus on like when ketika murid-murid itu tanya out of the box gitu kan, dan kita kan apalagi saya itu kan kayak baru pertama gitu kan ngajar di sini jadi English tutor gitu, dan ketika mereka tanya yang keluar dari materi kadang tuh nggak bisa jawab juga gitu, mas harus cari at the moment gitu kan kelihatan nggak profesional juga. Nah itu I would like to ask how to solve that problem and how to respond the students. Okay, thank you.
Oke, bagaimana merespon pertanyaan yang out of the box? Mbak Amalia ini salah satu English tutor dalam program kita ya di LBA, ada program namanya English Day. Nah, kita mencari tutor-tutor dari mahasiswa sebagai asisten untuk English Day tersebut. Bagaimana nih Bu Kiky untuk menghadapi pertanyaan yang out of the box?
Yeah. So I get a very good suggestion from my supervisor when I actually asked the same thing to him, like, what do I do if the panel give me like a very difficult questions that I cannot answer? What should I say? And then he said to me that the things that you can do, definitely try to figure out the way, like try to squeeze any information that you have in your brain. Jadi coba untuk kayak apa nih yang aku bisa tahu untuk mencoba jawab. But then if I got stuck, like if I try to squeeze my brain and couldn't find the answer yet, just say that I don't have the answer at the moment. Jadi it's okay to reveal that you don't know, and it's not a shame. And I think murid, karena kayak sekarang saya juga sebagai student, ketika saya nanya sama supervisor saya dan supervisor saya tidak punya jawaban and he said that I don't have an answer at that moment, saya nggak akan memandang rendah dia juga. So I think it goes the same with the students, like with our students. Jadi ketika ada student kita yang nanya dan kita nggak bisa tahu jawabannya, but then in terms, daripada kita bilang malah ngeles jawaban yang salah, kita bilang aja saya nggak punya jawaban yang tepat untuk itu sekarang mungkin, but I'll try to find it. The answer for you, maybe next week we can discuss that later. Itu mahasiswa akan lebih mengapresiasi, because that's what I do right now with my teacher and with my supervisor. So if my supervisor is someone that I admire, they don't know the answer, but then they just reveal that they don't know the answer, then I will appreciate that. And that same goes with our student as well. Jadi it's okay untuk bilang nggak tahu gitu. Untuk bilang nggak tahu, but then try to I will write that gitu. Jadi biasanya kalau saya emang nggak tahu jawabannya, ya saya akan nulis itu. Dan saya akan jadikan itu PR buat saya, and then the next meeting I'm going to discuss that with my student, and that way the student will be more appreciative towards us. Jadi mereka juga akan lebih okay, so this is a process that we go through together, right? It's not that we are, as a teacher, is someone that knows about everything, but we're actually learning together, and that's how I think anak-anak generasi Z sekarang kan, kayak saya anak-anak milenial saya kan termasuknya milenial ya, maksudnya nggak tua-tua banget, tapi milenial. Tapi untuk memahami pola pikir anak-anak generasi Z aja kadang butuh struggle, karena mereka kayak sekarang span, makanya kenapa kalau saya presentasi tuh berusaha misalnya diundang webinar nggak lama-lama, karena ternyata riset membuktikan anak-anak generasi Z tuh span konsentrasinya tuh lebih dikit dibanding anak-anak milenial. Jadi kalau kayak saya sama Bu Karin dengerin lecture yang sampai sejam 2 jam masih bisa menahan diri untuk tetap tabah gitu ya. Tapi kalau anak-anak generasi Z mungkin mereka akan doing something yang mungkin lebih
interesting
buat mereka, lebih interesting buat mereka gitu. Jadi it's okay Mbak Amalia untuk say that you don't know, it's fine.
It's fine. Oke, sepertinya sudah mulai dibagikan ya link sertifikatnya. Oke, tadi Bu Popi sepertinya ingin bertanya satu lagi, silahkan Bu Popi. Bu Popi, mikrofonnya belum dibuka.
Sorry. Thank you, Bu Karin. I have one question, Bu Kiky, which may be relevant for me personally and also for our student right now. I adore you, since a long time ago. Actually, when you speak English, I really enjoy the way you speak. I mean, you are very fluent in speaking English, and then also your pronunciation is very good. So my question is how you can get that fluency. I mean, I need more practical tips, particularly for the students, because communication is very important, particularly for international students. And I found in my class there are few students that have courage to speak in the class. So please share with us, Bu Kiky. Thank you very much.
Oke, thank you very much Bu Popi. Silahkan Bu Kiky, bagaimana membuat kita semakin fluent ya in speaking in English, karena kadang kita itu punya banyak vocabulary, tapi untuk mengeluarkan vocabulary itu pada saat kita speaking itu kita kesulitan untuk finding some sophisticated words gitu.
Pakai itu aja ya expressionnya.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Actually, we know the words, but we don't know how to use that words in our speaking.
Yeah. Well, for the reasons for that being is because we don't use it too often. We don't use it that often, so we don't know how to do it. So it's bahasa itu is, as I know, is something that we have to do by practice. So one practical tips that I can share is that use English as much as possible. on your daily life. Like you can definitely use that in your homes, like in a class or whatever. But the more exposure you got with English, I think the more fluent that you will get. So in regards to Bu Poppy's questions, I have some privilege back then in my old days when I was in, junior high school and a senior high school. So I went to this elementary school that do not provide English class or whatsoever. Jadi SD saya tuh dulu bahkan nggak ada kelas bahasa Inggris. So my first encounter with English is when I was in junior high school, and that was really bad. Like if you come to SMP 2 and then you meet with some of my old teacher and they will say, no, Kiky, it was really bad. Like ketika kelas 1, I cannot even say how to say color. Like instead of saying color, I say color, like silly things like that. It happens a lot to me. But then I think I have an opportunity to learn more and then to practice more is because I follow, they have this extracurricular in Bahasa Inggris. And then I'm the one, I think, because I know that I don't have a background in English as compared to other my friends who coming from like more, mereka dari SD yang lebih bagus, SD kota, kalau saya dari SD desa, SD-nya sekarang aja udah nggak ada, Bu, SD saya tuh. Jadi kalau saya sekarang harus legalisir ijazah tuh kayak, jangan sampai legalisir ijazah karena SD-nya udah nggak ada. Saking apa ya gitu deh, makanya SD-nya it's not like SD yang ada di kota, SD Keranji apa segala gitu-gitu.
So, but I remember you are one of our student exchange, right? I remember because we coming from the same junior high school. Yeah. So I remember you are one of our student exchange to Australia.
Yeah, that is the things, right? I will say, I will share my experience to actually highlight bahwa saya tuh berasal dari background bahasa Inggris yang sama sekali nol. But then because I actually try to employ whatever resources that I have untuk membantu saya belajar, makanya saya jadi bisa belajar gitu. Jadi dulu tuh saya ikut ekstrakurikuler awalnya di SMP. Dan ketika ikut ekstrakurikuler SMP itu, Bu, syaratnya itu adalah nilai ujian bahasa Inggrisnya itu minimal 6. Dan ya ini namanya semuanya memang sudah digariskan sama Allah ya. Jadi dulu tuh saya nilai ujian bahasa Inggrisnya 6, Bu. Jadi bener-bener yang itu ada di lowest point untuk syarat minimal kamu bisa ikut ekstra bahasa Inggris gitu. Saya ingat banget sama dulu kan Bu Hastin ya, Karina dulu
Bu Hastin of course.
Itu tuh bilang waktu pas ngebagiin nilai ujian dapat 6 tuh saya langsung wah dapat 6 gitu ya. Terus Bu Hastin tuh bilang ya yang nilainya minimal dapat 6 boleh ikut ekstrakurikuler, boleh daftar ekstrakurikuler bahasa Inggris. And I apply that dengan syarat minimum itu. Jadi kalau diambil range waktu itu, anak-anak yang lain itu nilainya ada yang 7, ada yang 8, ada yang 9, saya tuh di 6. Dan karena saya nilainya 6, masuklah saya di kelompok kelas yang, karena ada beberapa kelas kan ekstra bahasa Inggris itu, ekstrakurikuler bahasa Inggris, saya masuk golongan yang di bawah juga gitu. Dulu kan ada kayak kelas unggulan sama nggak unggulan juga kan.
Iya.
Saya masuknya mulai dari yang paling bawah itu, Bu. Dan justru karena mulai dari paling bawah, akhirnya saya jadi maksudnya saya jadi nggak ada pressure karena teman-teman saya lebih keren atau apa gitu. Jadi benar-benar saya mulai dari teman-teman yang ya levelnya juga sama kayak saya. But then one thing that I'm bukan mau membanggakan ya, but then what I have at that time itu adalah resilience. Jadi waktu dulu itu saya ingat, jadi kelas ekstrakurikuler itu adalah habis sekolah. Jadi sekolah itu selesai kalau nggak salah jam 2, mulainya itu jam 3. Dan karena rumah saya jauh gitu ya, terus saya nggak mau membebani orang tua saya bilang sama ibu saya, nanti dijemputnya kalau udah selesai aja. Jadi anak-anak yang lain pada pulang dulu misalnya karena rumahnya deket atau karena ada yang jemput. Nah saya nunggu aja tuh di sekolah gitu. Jadi dari waktu selesai sekolah sampai ekstrakurikuler saya nunggu di sekolah. Terus jadinya akhirnya berangkat terus gitu ekstrakurikulernya. Saya inget banget, itu agak terharu juga sih kalau ingat itu. Jadi saya ingat waktu itu hujan gede banget. Tapi karena saya nggak pulang, jadi saya di sekolah aja, jadinya kan saya tetap ikut kan. Nah, waktu itu gurunya juga kan nggak pulang. Terus gurunya datang dan nggak ada anak lain. Jadi nggak ada student lain yang datang, dan cuma saya doang yang datang. Terus gurunya kayak, Kak, kamu datang gitu? Iya, Pak, soalnya saya nggak pulang gitu kan. Terus karena mungkin kasihan gurunya, terus akhirnya dia ngasih privat ke saya. Dan dari situ tuh saya jadi kayak, maksudnya gurunya itu juga ada rasa empati gitu kali ya, maksudnya kayak kasihan banget nih anak, kayaknya dia niat banget buat belajar, akhirnya difasilitasi terus untuk apa namanya ya belajar gitu. Dan saya juga senang banget waktu itu belajar karena lagi seneng-senengnya ada boy band dulu namanya The Moffats gitu kan, ada Backstreet Boys, itu lagi seneng-senengnya, jadi kayak pengen tahu mereka tuh nyanyiin artinya apa sih gitu. So I would say one thing untuk belajar bahasa Inggris adalah you getting more exposure to it. So if you have a time to practice, if you have an opportunity to practice, then do it. The reasons why, like when Karina said, I have a lot of vocabulary in my head, but then I don't know when to use it, is because you don't use it. So that's the reasons why, right? So I think the only practical tips that I can share, and that's in my experience is the most successful one, is that use your English. So practice your English. Yeah. Jadi gitu aja sih paling Bu.
Thank you, Ki.
Strateginya. Yes.
Have a courage to use your vocabulary in everyday learning, maybe. Yeah. I want to ask something because I have 2 children. One is in elementary school and one is in preschool. They always often to use English whenever they watch the television in English. Maybe they watch some of like Peppa Pig or maybe some of Disney movie. They really understand about how the story goes, what say something, the other say something. Mereka tuh bisa sangat memahami. Bahkan kadang saya tanya, kalian itu nonton apa? Ini mah, ini tuh ceritanya ini nih. It's actually all in English ya. Semua video yang mereka tonton itu in English. Is it possible for them to not only listening or maybe watching English, but also to speaking English in everyday life? Because I think they are one is only 4 years old and the older one is only 9 years old.
Yeah. So I think the answer to that is yes. And one way that you can do that is that ask them to like make a conversation with them in English. So they already have this passive way of learning English through watching and learning, right? It is a passive way of learning English. But then you can harness that by asking them to have a conversation with you in English, and that will harness their active skill in English. Jadi bisa diasah banget tuh kalau anak-anak mungkin dengan mulai conversation yang sederhana gitu. So pasifnya dia dapat dari listening dan juga mungkin dari nonton, and then aktifnya dari ngomong atau bicara gitu.
Berarti it's okay ya kalau misalnya kita speaking with them in English, karena kadang itu vocabnya mereka kayak kecampur gitu. Maybe for example, if I asking them about the color, for the youngest anak saya yang paling muda 4 tahun cannot speak in Indonesian. Dia itu nggak bisa ngomong merah, tapi dia tahu this is red, this is white, this is green, but she don't know how to pronounce that in Indonesian because maybe karena exposure-nya terlalu banyak video yang dia tonton itu in English, so I feel a little bit jadi nggak berani gitu to speaking with them in English karena takutnya our first language kan Indonesia ya, takutnya mereka kesulitan understanding about Indonesian language gitu, kadang ada rasa takut seperti itu.
I don't know exactly how maksudnya kalau anak-anak itu gimana ya, mungkin ada sih beberapa penelitiannya tapi saya nggak tahu hasilnya bagaimana. But what I know, anak-anak itu kan lebih cepat belajar ya. So say if you would like to go with the bilingual way, jadi kamu mau ngajarin bahasa Indonesia dan juga bahasa Inggris at the same time, mungkin lebih cepat gitu di anak-anak, karena beberapa teman saya yang di sini bawa anaknya, anak-anak masih kecil, tadinya dia sama sekali nggak bisa karena emang nggak diajarin bahasa Inggris kan, tapi once mereka di sini kemudian ketemu sama teman-temannya di sini, within months ya, mungkin dalam 1 bulan tuh mereka udah even better than their parents gitu dalam pronunciation dan segala macam. Itu lagi-lagi karena apa? Karena mereka ngomong gitu, mereka latihan, mereka ini. Jadi kuncinya nih buat kita semua, buat saya juga, kalau kita mau fluent gitu, lancar dalam bahasa Inggris, ya memang kita harus try to ngomong itu, dan mungkin menghilangkan stigma sih yang mungkin lebih challenging ya di Indonesia gitu, karena once-nya kita ngomong pakai bahasa Inggris, padahal kita tujuannya memang mau belajar, bukan mau show off gitu kan. pakai bahasa Inggris gitu. Jadi mungkin ya gitu sih. Di challenge-nya di tempat kita mungkin lebih ke gimana ngilangin stigma kalau orang
Stigma, iya.
bahasa Inggris tuh bukannya mau show off, tapi emang beneran lagi mau belajar. And that's not to say that bahasa Indonesia is not very important. Karena as research suggests, kalau kita bahasa Indonesianya bagus, itu kemungkinan kita belajar bahasa Inggrisnya lebih cepat itu juga banyak. Makanya waktu pas saya baca riset itu tuh saya langsung keingetan Pak Suharjono itu, karena Prof. Suharjono itu adalah salah satu yang kayaknya beliau sangat menekankan betapa pentingnya kita tahu bahasa kita sendiri, bahasa Indonesia yang baik dan benar, karena ternyata itu ngebantu banget gitu untuk kita belajar bahasa asing. In that sense, saya juga sekarang baru mau belajar bahasa Korea nih ya. Saya lagi mau belajar bahasa Korea.
Bisa menghayati K-pop ya.
Iya Bu, bener. Jadi biar kalau dengerin opa di Korean drama tuh kayak agak mudeng dikit gitu.
Nggak harus lihat subtitlenya ya.
Iya. Ya gitu deh, karena Korea Selatan tuh bakal kayaknya beberapa tahun ke depan ya, insya Allah kalau dunia baik-baik aja, bakal mendominasi Asia juga kan. Udah maksudnya kayak Cina is okay, tapi mungkin after China, South Korea, kalau lihat dari pertumbuhan ekonominya kan bagus banget. Yang bakal jadi pusatnya Asia mungkin in the next couple of 10 years itu bakal di South Korea. Jadi mungkin kita kalau belajar bahasa Korea juga ada benefitnya selain jadi bisa nyanyi lagu K-pop atau dengerin Korean drama.
Jangan lupa belajar bahasa Arab juga.
Iya Bu, Masya Allah, bener. Aduh, saya jadi ingat. Jadi di sini alhamdulillah saya ada komunitas gitu kan Bu.
Ya,
ada
kalau
komunitas
bahasa Arab.
Iya, ternyata bahasa Arab itu, Masya Allah, itu ternyata tingkat, jadi dari riset yang tadi saya sempat singgung sedikit, jadi dari para peneliti itu bilang kalau orang tuh udah bisa bahasa Arab, dia belajar bahasa lainnya tuh akan lebih mudah gitu. Jadi karena ternyata tingkat kesulitannya tuh yang paling tinggi, udah dari cara bacanya kita beda ya, maksudnya bukan dari kanan ke kiri, tapi dari kiri ke kanan. Terus mereka tuh tingkat apa sih ya, maksudnya kayak tingkat literasinya tuh paling kompleks gitu.
Sastranya tinggi, paling tinggi ya.
Nah, ya itu dia.
Level of sastranya juga tinggi.
Ya, betul. Jadi sebenarnya kalau iya sih harusnya saya belajar bahasa Arab. Kenapa saya belajar bahasa Korea?
Anak saya yang pertama juga bisa bahasa Arab, cuman lack of practicing. Jadi dia practicingnya itu yang kurang, karena di rumah kan the only speaker in Arabic only her ya. Jadinya kalau dia praktek itu saya sambil lihat buku karena I don't really know about what she talking about.
Saya dengan Bu Roro belajar tapi nggak pinter-pinter.
Nggak katam-katam Bu.
Nggak pinter.
Mungkin harus latihan juga tuh kali, jadi sparing partner gitu, Bu Roro sama
Iya.
Bu Rocky. Nanti saya join deh Bu, kalau udah balik saya join deh.
Ya insya Allah nanti LBA
Nyari tutor mungkin Bu, tutor ya, tutor bahasa
LBA
Arab.
buat itu. Oh, saya inget tuh Pak Oman, dulu sempat cerita waktu pas saya sebelum berangkat, Pak Oman tuh belajar bahasa Arab juga, tapi online. Jadi sempat cerita bahasa Arab. Terus saya cuman iya aja Pak. Oh, karena susah banget. Maksudnya kalau dari ceritanya Pak Oman tuh kayak kompleks banget gitu. Jadi saya, oh iya Pak, emang susah gitu. Dan ternyata emang susah ya, paling susah ya.
Okay, I think okay, it look like we have covered all of our questions ya. Sudah tidak ada lagi pertanyaan, baik itu yang raise hand ataupun yang di kolom chat sudah tidak ada. So we have covered all of our questions. So Mrs. Kiky, is there anything else you wanted to cover before a wrap up? Maybe a final statement about our topic in this webinar?
Well, I think I have covered all the things that I need to say. I had already said that. So I think what I would like to emphasize to especially the students that attend this webinar is that English is not a difficult language. It's definitely, there are other languages that is more difficult. So I think don't be ashamed and don't be shy to practice your English. And try, and once you harness your English skills, there are a lot of opportunities out there that you can try, and you can try to open it and have it. So I think I hope that what we have discussed in today's session will probably just bit, even if it is a bit, it's okay. Open up your horizons and thinking that, all right, so but probably I just have to share some of my time now to allocate, you know, a special time to learn English, as it will give you more opportunities to come. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your presence here. Now it's time to make sure that you are already filled the link on the chat box down below to get your A certificates. And thanks again for joining us today. And also, I hope that we will see you on our next time on our next webinar. Thank you so much for our dear speakers and all the participants in this webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And this is the certificate appreciation for our speakers for today's webinar. This is for Mr. Kiky Sri Rejeki M.Sc as a speaker with the theme of Gain More Opportunity with English Competency organized by LBA. This is for you, Mr. Kiky, Mrs. Kiky.
Thanks very much. It's a very beautiful certificate. It's been a long time. I haven't received any certificate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And for all the participants, don't forget to fill the link on the chat box down below so you can get your A certificate. Semoga kita bisa bertemu kembali dalam acara webinar-webinar kita selanjutnya yang diadakan oleh Lab Bahasa Asing FEB. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Terima kasih Bu, sampai jumpa lagi teman-teman semuanya. Mudah-mudahan segera kumpul. Dadah.
Laboratorium Bahasa Asing atau LBA-FEB Unsur adalah laboratorium yang memfasilitasi mahasiswa.
Foto dulu Mbak sebelum ini.
Yang foto panitia atau saya juga Bu?
Mbak Dona tadi gimana instruksinya, saya juga bingung mau keluar jadi nggak jadi. Mbak Dona
Kayaknya yang di